Hi there, this is Dilys Gayan and welcome to the Inspired Selling Podcast. And this is the place where people learn the fact, how to find, attract, convert and treasure more of your ideal clients without any of those nasty, sleazy, pushy sales tactics. And I've got a fabulous guest for you today, Sue Ferreira. And Sue's going to talk to us and share techniques and strategies about using video successfully in your business. So let me just give you some background about Sue. I am so excited. I just can't wait to hear more from Sue, because I have to admit I am not the most brave on live video, but I'm going to be after this podcast. So let me tell you about Sue. After 40 years practicing as an anaesthetist in the invisible world of the operating room, for her second act, Sue transformed her world, showing you how to be visible with video. And living in this exciting time of rapid but unsettling change, Sue realized many people were having challenges, me included, embracing the power of video as a marketing tool. You know, things like camera shyness, techie terrors, that hold people back from extending their reach, their influence, their impact, and their income. And knowing that she can make you camera and tech confident, Sue created Wisdom to Wealth Mastery, enabling you to take your wisdom to the world in video. So, Sue, welcome. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you on the podcast. And what I have loved about you in the short time that we've known each other is your story and how inspiring you are to so many people, and certainly to me. And I just want to share with the listeners or the viewers that this is a lady who is 71 and is absolutely rocking it. She is out there. If you have a look on YouTube, she's got dozens and dozens of videos. She is totally inspiring. So Sue, tell us, what was the trigger to have you start your own business, and why particularly video?
Well, I got to say, first of all, I'm the one who's so honored to be here, Dilys, and I'm, we really enjoy our conversations. But I'll get to your question. Why did I move in my second act to video? It's a good question. One I'm asked quite often, because there isn't usually such a radical switch from being invisible in the OR forever in medicine. And, I couldn't do anesthesia 101 for the general populace, because we get into big trouble, right, if I went out and taught anesthesia. But I have seen over my years in medicine, which it's 53 years since I went to medical school in University College in London. And I've seen us get older and older and older. And I know we are going to live very long lives. And, life sends you curveballs. When I was 60, so about 10 years ago, I went through one of those really painful, unfortunately, increasingly common grey divorces. So I thought I was tootling on into a conventional older life, and suddenly, boom, my life changes direction. And I'm now looking at being a single woman into my later years. And, that requires a bit of a mindset change.
Yes.
And then that was in 2007. And then the next year was 2008, when we had the financial crash. And I don't know, I always say I don't do visions, but I had a vision, which for someone who's as concrete and kind of scientific as me was, it was an emotional experience. And I just felt and saw all these folks who lives were going to be severely wrecked by this financial crisis. And we haven't really come out of it now. And I knew that many were going to have to generate added income. And because I've always been fascinated by the web, I knew that if you take control of your own life and not depend on someone else, the way to do it today to generate added income is to get yourself more seen on the web. So I started with everybody, and I found a lot of people weren't interested in changing their world. And I focused down more on business women and business folks in general, because there is this, as you said, there's this rapid change in the world. We are moving to a totally different way of business and marketing. And I understood video because I've done it for a long time. And I saw its power rise over 5 or 6 years and thought, wow, people have to use this. So that's basically how it's a long story because it goes chung, 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 chung through different kind of sections of things that happened to me. But that's how I ended up using video as a way to take your message to the world, because it is so powerful.
It is. It certainly is. And as you know, I am deeply immersed in the world of SMEs who are selling to bigger businesses. And time again, I hear people saying, I just can't do this. I just can't do it. And I have had to kind of feel the fear and do it anyway, I must admit. And it wasn't easy for me. I could stand on a stage with an audience of hundreds of people, you know, as a keynote speaker. I could run workshops with many people, many delegates, and so on. But to get in front of this just was daunting. You know, that stupid little lens, and then you kind of get those butterflies in your tummy, and it really has. I have had to work hard on taking myself out of my comfort zone. So just tell us why you think business owners should consider video as a marketing tool for their business to attract new clients.
Well, I think it's mandatory today, and I commend you, Dilys, for overcoming your collywobbles about doing video, because it is universal. And maybe we can come back to that whole idea of if just because you're a speaker doesn't mean you're going to be able to transfer easily to video. In fact, I think your experience is extremely common, but I think there's core reasons that it is difficult to make that transition. One is it's especially for women. I mean, we are so brutally hard on ourselves and so self-critical. You know, a lot of people don't even want to be in the family photos. And so the whole idea of bearing your soul and coming out potentially to the world, because that's what you're doing when you put a video up online. You're leaving your local world that knows you and that you're comfortable in, and you're making that big leap through the screen to unknown people, to unknown audiences. And I think it requires a huge amount of self-work and mindset work to be able to say, yes, I can do this. I can make this leap and do exactly what you said, feel the fear and do it anyway. I think, first of all, it's mindset, self-confidence that is a real challenge for many. And then the next thing is the tech. There's this big thing that, oh my God, it's so technical to do video. And it was even 4 years ago, but now it isn't. And, you know, you brought up my favorite gizmo. It really has come down now with an iPhone. Hit the red button, give your message, hit the red button, your video's done. So number two is there's this perception that the tech is still difficult, but it isn't. And then number three is, okay, so I've made my video. What do I do with it now? And until you know where and how of each different place you can put the video, you get a bit lost. You don't know what to do with a video when you've got it. So that's the three reasons: self-confidence, not thinking the tech is more than it actually is today, and knowing what to do with the video when you've made it.
And I'll just share a very funny story with you, Sue. When I was building myself up to do my very first live, and I was actually up at the swimming pool, and they've got some nice lounges there, and I was reading a book, and it's behind me here, and I think it's probably the wrong way around, but it's the 5-second rule. And I was building myself up, and I read this, and it just said, say to yourself, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just do it. And I thought, right, that's it. I'm going back home. I'm going to get changed. I'm going to put my lipstick on, and I'm going to just do it. And I remember someone saying to me, now put something at the side, put a picture of, I haven't got a picture here, by the way, I've got a train ticket, but all will be revealed. Put a picture at the side of your phone so that where the camera is, and just look at that, because otherwise you look, it's as if you're not looking at the camera.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a picture. All I had on my desk was a train ticket. So I poked a hole. I poked a hole in this train ticket, drew some eyelashes on it, and away I went. I pressed the red button and away I went. And I absolutely loved it. I really, really enjoyed doing it. But when I look back at it and I've published it, it's been all, I've boosted it on Facebook and everything, but I hadn't made the hole quite big enough so it looked like I was looking down a toilet roll. Well, it can only get better from here, really.
But you did it. I mean, it's always that first one, isn't it?
Yes.
And so many folks, I say, just do the first one.
Yeah.
And you'll be through it, because everyone after that is easier. But that's a brilliant thing to do. And you can see up on, this is an old teleprompter I've got behind there, and Teddy sits on the top, because when I've got people who get like you, are hesitant about doing video, it's no good looking at that cold lens. You've already said that blanks people out. So look at Teddy, talk to Teddy, or talk to your train ticket. That's the way to do it. But
with a bigger hole in, if you're going to put a hole in your train ticket, bigger hole in when you're doing your eye and your eyelash. And of course, as a marketing strategy for people being able to get out there, and people who know me know I use this phrase a lot, it's about exposing yourself, metaphorically speaking, and being visible out there. And you know, when I introduced you, Sue, I talked about the number of videos that you've got on YouTube and the places that you share them. And I'm sure you'll talk to us about that later on. But it's a really great way, not just of becoming visible, but people getting to know you, as opposed to a blog, for example, or an article or email marketing. It really allows people to see who you are and gives them the opportunity to reject you if you're not their cup of tea, or to embrace you if you are their cup of tea.
Yeah, I mean, we are such visual creatures. And I think that's really why video becomes so powerful. And it all comes down to just what you said, KL&T, know, like, and trust. And we know that people will bond with you and be more interested in working with you or purchasing something from you or investing in you if they know, like, and trust you. And a lot of folks, again, folks who are hesitant to do videos, say, it doesn't work, this video thing, you know, it's different. It doesn't work when you're at a distance and you're doing it online. I say, rubbish. It really, really works. It doesn't make any difference. In fact, I have a client right now whom I'd never met personally, but we already knew each other really well. And then she moved into town, and so now she comes here for her coaching. And the first time she walked in, we just said, hi, nice to meet you, but I already know you.
Yes.
So you can get to know, like, and trust people easily via video. You know, especially as the whole mantra is, don't put on the airs and graces, just be yourself, because you can't keep it up. If you're not authentic, it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's quite right. So what do you recommend, live or pre-recorded? What are the pros and cons? Both.
Live really wasn't an option until maybe about, what was it now? Maybe just not that, well, maybe a couple of years ago, since Facebook Live came in. So the world really changed with Facebook Live. And I think when I'm teaching, I say, forget about all those other areas where you can do video, because you can do video just about anywhere. I mean, you can do video on Twitter, you can do video on Instagram, and I don't necessarily say forget that. But focus on the two big, humongous areas where you can do video, which are YouTube and Facebook. And those are the two areas where you can power out your presence. And if you do Facebook, then there's no doubt live is the way to go. Facebook itself will promote you a lot more if you do live video. That doesn't mean you don't do recorded video. You do it too. But, you know, if it's a question of coming in on a race, Facebook Live will pip you at the post. When you look at YouTube, which I really love, it's a different kettle of fish totally. Because when you're on Facebook, you're building relationships, really. You're building relationships. And in fact, right now, Facebook is pushing the whole idea of engagement, which is a dynamic interaction. When you go to YouTube, you can do YouTube Live, but it's not it's a very different medium, because YouTube is a search engine. And so people go to YouTube to have a problem solved, to have their questions answered. So you will make a very different video for YouTube than you will for Facebook. And that's the power of the two, because if you can have a presence on both of them, you know, the mantra really is, if you want to be seen today, you've got to have you everywhere now. So, you know, think about what your web footprint is like. If you put your name into Google, where would you come up? Like, how do people find you? Where are you visible? If you have a lot on Facebook Live, and you have a lot on YouTube, and you have a lot in video, you will rise to the top and be seen. So the power is live on Facebook, I would say, and recorded on YouTube, but answering very specific questions that people want answered.
And I noticed on your YouTube channel, you don't put long videos on there. Yours are kind of 3 to 4 minutes.
Yep, max. You know, we're kind of a bit ADD these days, and that again is a difference. If you're doing a Facebook Live, or you're doing something like we're doing right now, it's conversational, and it can go on for quite a while. I mean, you know, we can do 20, 30, 40, an hour quite easily. You try doing that on YouTube, they're gone. And you'll see there is a very different structure to creating a YouTube video. Like right up front, you say, in this video, I'm going to show you. Because if you don't say that, they're gone. You have to tell them that you are here giving them the answer to their query. You're going to solve their problem right up front. And if you don't do that, they're gone. So there's a very different structure between the two, and you need to solve the problem on YouTube toot sweet, and 2 to 3 minutes is really your max.
Well, before we came on to do this recording, I was actually watching some of your videos on YouTube, and you are absolutely to the point.
Yeah.
You tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and you tell them what you've told them.
You got it. That's right. And that is the structure. And it's the structure that works. And I'll be honest, it breaks my heart, because there's an awful lot of incredibly talented people, women again especially, who are excellent speakers, who put their videos up onto YouTube, but they're never seen because they don't have that structure. And I know they put their effort into creating the video, they put it up onto YouTube, and they never get exposure because they're not using that structured way, and also SEOing their video properly. And search engine optimization is very important in YouTube as well. So it's very different. Facebook is kind of looser. You need a strategy, but it's looser, whereas YouTube is tight, focused, and pre-planned.
Yeah. And it's a case of getting started, isn't it? Because people could have a look at your channel and go, yeah, but look at all of the videos she's got up there. But you had to start somewhere with video number 1.
Yep. And I didn't start this channel till about, I got a couple of videos that I pulled from elsewhere, but that's basically an 8-month channel now. And I think if you're going to put videos up on YouTube, you really do need to learn about the structure of how to do it on YouTube first, about the SEO, and then consistency. I try to have 1 video a week go out every Friday.
Yeah.
And then people get used to your channel, they get used to what you're doing. And if they subscribe, they get notification when your video goes out. So it helps building your community. And I'll be honest, right now, the vast majority of the opt-ins to my email list come from YouTube. Rather than anywhere else. Yeah.
And I noticed that too, that in the description, you don't actually describe what's in the video. Nope. You put subscribe to my 5 steps to effective videoing, or 5 steps to the essentials for video.
I put a freebie in there.
Yes.
And then that freebie obviously goes to an opt-in page. And then I collect emails from there. And I'll be honest, that's where I get the vast majority of my opt-ins.
Yeah, yeah. So, people can in fact go and subscribe to your video channel and just have a look at your strategy and those elements that you include, like the free resource in the description box, and the length of your videos, and listening to how you do it's a kind of a what, why, and how, but it's around I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. I tell you it, and now I'll tell you what I told you, kind of.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting.
Process.
Someone last week who subscribed to my channel then followed up with an email to me or a messenger saying, what do I now make my videos about? Because other people have already made the videos about the subject that I want to talk about. I said, it doesn't matter. If you look at YouTube, there are 60 gazillion videos on how to use your iPhone to create video. It doesn't matter. There is room enough for everyone, because it comes back again, Dilys, to just what you said. People are looking for someone they know, like, and trust. And, you know, I'm not going to attract the teeny bopper who's on Snapchat. I'm going to attract, where I think there's a vast need, older women and men who need to move into this world. And you know, we all grew up before the web. So it's a world that they don't understand. And I know one of my talents is to simplify it and make it easy. So, you know, that's who I'm gearing to, who I'm attracting, mostly folks 50 plus who need to move into this and you know, who don't like it, but they can do it.
It goes back to, I am certainly inspired, the fact that you kind of reinvented yourself, you know, at the age of 60, going through that awful divorce,
and then
reinventing yourself and being who you are. And there's nobody can replicate you, because even though there are tons of people out there talking about how to do video, nobody can do it the way Sue Ferreira does it.
Yeah, and you know, there are some outstanding folks, way better than me, but I still am building my own little tribe.
Yeah,
and so it doesn't matter who you are. Don't think you can't do it because someone else has already done it.
Yes.
You are you. Just do it, and people will come.
So, what would be your top tips for doing effective videos on a regular basis?
I think, first of all, it comes right back to your message. And whatever folks say, I don't know how to do video, I don't know what to say. And I will just say, well, who are you? What is your message? If you already have a business in what I call the real world, and you are doing workshops or you're speaking, your message is already there.
Yeah.
You know who you are, and you know what your message is, and you know what you offer. It's absolutely no different to then go on to video and say the same thing. You can just parcel it, depending on whether you're going onto YouTube or Facebook Live, parcel it in a different way. But there's nothing more you need to learn or do. It's already up here. Your wisdom is here. You know, your wisdom is here. Just brain dump it and take it out to the world. And as I say, you know, then your influence will grow, and eventually your income, which is the whole idea of wisdom to wealth. So don't get caught up in the idea that you need to do something different. You don't. You have it all already. And then I would just say, think about what your audience needs. If you go to YouTube, think about what questions you're most commonly asked. So and I always will say, think about the 10 questions you're asked most frequently. Think about the 10 questions they should ask you, but they don't. And if you put down 10 FAQs and 10 SAQs, you've already got 20 videos. And then you just write your text in the format that I've just mentioned. If you're going to do YouTube, here I'm going to solve this problem. This is who I am. Here's the solution. And, you know, tell them again and subscribe. That's your YouTube format. And if you go to Facebook Live, you can have exactly the same 20 videos or 20 subjects, but you can chat to them more loosely and bring people in through a more engaging way. That's where I would start. Think of the 10 questions that they frequently ask, the 10 that they should ask. It gives you the structure to then move forward. And once you've done those, I tell you, you will realize you have so many more videos that or discussion points. It becomes a non-issue.
Yeah. And one of the things I do, Sue, with everything that I do, afterwards I do what went well, what didn't go so well, what do I need to do better next time? So that you're always making those marginal gains and moving forward and upward all of the time.
Yeah, and that is a really important point, Dilys, because I had a lady, bless her, an 80-year-old. I mean, it's amazing, 80-year-old from California. I don't even know who she is. And she sent me an email this week and said, I've just done a video. I didn't like it. I'm not going to do any more. I thought that was hilarious.
And that's that.
But we've had a dialogue since, and I've said, yeah, that's right. Your first video will be so awful. You'll never want to see it again. But it's done. It's your first video.
With a bus ticket, with a train ticket, with a hole in, with eyelashes drawn.
I mean, it will be. It's guaranteed your first video will be awful. So if you want to make it without going live and practice first, yeah, I think it's a great thing to practice. But at some point, you've got to stop using practicing as an excuse and move out to the real world. Yeah. But honestly and truthfully, accept that your first one is going to be awful. And then you found, I'm sure, Dilys, that your learning curve is very steep and you get better very, very quickly, especially if you do the review that you've just mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what about tech then, Sue? What I've got, let me just find it. I've got this little tripod thing now that I can take and I can fit my phone in, just a cheap Amazon thing. Now, I don't know whether you would recommend that or whether you would recommend something different.
No, you've got it. It's perfect. I've basically got this almost the same thing behind me here. I did a podcast last week with someone. She came here, a local person, a realtor, just wanted people talking about the neighborhood and what they offered in the neighborhood. We did it all on her iPhone. Dead simple. Right. In fact, she didn't even have a separate microphone that would plug into her iPhone. We used an ice cream cone microphone, and it worked just fine. So, in essence, you don't need anything more than this. I mean, if you've got a nice steady arm and you don't joggle it, you don't need anything more than a smartphone. I do have actually a freebie, which is the only 3 tools under $20 you need to create client attracting videos. So I would recommend that once you have, if you really want to be, have what I call a BBC setup, because you basically have the BBC, or if I'm in Canada, the Canadian Broadcasting Service on here. If you take your iPhone and you add one single little microphone on here, which in fact is the one I'm using here because it also works in my computer, and you take what you have just shown there, Dilys, a clamp and any kind of tripod, that is it. Yeah, that's all you need.
It's important to put it this way. Am I correct?
Yes.
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 I'm not going to pretend to be. The microphone on the native smartphones are okay, but the audio isn't that great. So get one of these little lapel mics like I've got, or I actually have another one here that I quite often use. This is my Yeti mic. I sometimes use this one, but more and more because I like to be mobile and small. I just use this little lavalier mic, lapel mic, and then I just steady it. Is that on your free resource?
Yes.
You refer to that?
Yeah.
Excellent. And what about lighting? What would you recommend for lighting?
Well, it's interesting. We were talking about this before we started. I think if you have a natural light that you can put yourself in front of, that works really, really well. I don't have that in this particular room that I use. So I have 2 lights on either side here that are, I don't know, I think about $40 US. They're LED lights. I have a little diffuser that I put on top of them, and I can just adjust the intensity depending on the day outside. So really, I would just, you don't even really need that. If you can have 2 little table lamps either side of your camera, so it kind of lights you pretty much the same on both sides. That's all you need. Right. And I always stress, don't let any tech details stop you from pushing the red button. The main thing is, it's interesting, we will accept poor video over poor audio. So if you're going to buy one thing, it would be the microphone. And there are so many. I mean, it's fascinating to watch this explosion of creativity that we have these days, where like 10 years ago, well, it's only 10 years ago since YouTube, Facebook, and smartphones appeared, and they have changed everything. And they've really been responsible for this massive rise in video, which is now 82% of all web content. I mean, that is amazing in 10 years.
Staggering, isn't it?
It's
staggering.
Absolutely staggering. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, don't worry too much about the quality of video. If you're going to buy one single thing, it would be a decent mic.
Excellent. And, you know, I look like I'm sitting in a cave compared to you, Sue. But of course, it's daytime for you in Canada. Yep. It's the evening for me in the UK, but I'm actually in front of a window that normally would give me really brilliant natural light. So if I'm going to do more podcasts in the evening or videos in the evening, I'm certainly going to invest in some lights.
Yeah, I think that's worth it. But, you know, I mean, you look fantastic right now. You've got good light on both sides. And sometimes it helps to, you know, to smooth out the, you know, to have the background different. So I certainly would, the setup you have right now, I wouldn't change. You know, unless, yeah, you can make it a bit better, but certainly it's way good enough.
Brilliant, brilliant. Sue, thank you so much. We're going to have to talk again because this is kind of the fundamentals that we've talked about, and I think we can maybe take a deeper dive into some of the more technical ways of how to do a recorded video and a Facebook Live. Maybe we can do something around that. But how can the audience get in touch with you if they want to learn more or just get your free resource?
Well, I can give you the free resource, and we can add that to, you know, wherever the podcast is going. But I try to make it consistent. Just about anywhere is Wisdom to Wealth Mastery. Twitter, right. YouTube, my website, my Facebook is all Wisdom to Wealth Mastery. I do have a Facebook group, Visible on Video, which you're welcome to join. But pretty much it's Wisdom to Wealth in any of the modalities that you care to find. And it's interesting because I knew how powerful video is. So most of my stuff is out there in video. My website, I have website shame because I'm coming back now, because I think that's less important. I'm coming back now and rebuilding a website because get yourself out there first.
Brilliant. And where do people get the free resource? Is that on your website, Sue?
At the moment, it's not on my website because I'm changing it, but I could send you the PDF, the link, or if anyone wants it, just Facebook message me, and I'm more than happy to send you those quick little 3 to under $20 that will basically.
Well, if you send me the link, Sue, then I can add that.
Yeah, I will send you the link.
YouTube. I also have this transcribed, so I can put it into the transcription for people to just be able to click that. And from a message from me who really struggled, and I have thoroughly been inspired by you and the simplicity of your messages, Sue, and the authenticity in which you deliver them has helped me enormously. And I think the 4 words I would give to anyone is just flipping do it. JFDI, just flipping do it. What's the worst that can happen? Nothing. And, you know, even if it's the phone with the train ticket on and you've got, you know, it looks like you're looking down a toilet roll, you would not believe the comments, the wonderful comments I got on that, because it wasn't like that. You know, it was sort of like this. And it really stood out. So in fact, there was positives came from that, you know. So Sue, thank you again. It's been an utter pleasure.
Always my pleasure too, Dilys. And as I always say, just hit the red button and away you go.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Sue. Bye for now.
Bye-bye, and thank you, everyone.